Misery is a play adapted from the Stephen King novel in the 80s, which then turned into a movie, which then was on Broadway with Bruce Willis as Paul Sheldon. So William Goldman wrote the playwright for both the Broadway play and the play that was just at the Hannah Theater in Cleveland. This time around, though, Andrew May plays Paul Sheldon, and Kathleen Perkle Tago is Annie Wilkes. Um, so this play is interesting because, you know, off the bat, and with the title, and if you're familiar with the storyline, it's a thriller, and you know, you think you're going to be terrified with this play, but honestly, it really lacked that fear. It was more of a parody of itself. It didn't really take itself seriously. Now, the stage I thought was handsomely done. The stage designer is Gage Williams, and he did a nice job. They had an old beaten down house in the background. You could see like the broken boards behind it. They were dirty, almost like white snow, dirty white snow. Within in the front was the bedroom that Paul Sheldon, he was trapped in. Because Paul Sheldon, he gets in a car accident, and then his number one fan, Annie Wilkes, saves him, brings him back to her home, which is in like the woods of Colorado, very secluded, and she's a little bit of a nutcase. So where Paul Sheldon is, he's in front. He's in the bed, and it's located in the front of the stage. So the set was nice. I think Gage Williams did the best at what he had to work with. I think he couldn't have did any better. It's just the problem with the stage was it. To get to kitchen from the bedroom, the actors had to go through a hallway and then actually had to go behind the set, and they had to turn a corner and pop back up. So there's a lot of dead silence in the air, which just doesn't really work. It was dead. It was just quiet. You can hear people in the audience, kind of with the whispers, with the laughs, even. So that was one thing. And the director of the play, Charles Fee. It's hard to tell whether he wanted us terrified or amused for this play. Any scene where Annie Wilkes was pretty much torturing Paul Sheldon, it was hard to take seriously. For those of you who don't know, pretty much in the play, Annie Wilkes finds out that her favorite character, Misery Chastain, was killed off in the latest novel that Paul Sheldon writes. So she pretty much flips out, and she wants him to rewrite it and bring her back to life, and promises his safety and freedom if he does so. So he starts to, and throughout the play, they just go back and forth. At moments, it's supposed to be scary, but they just don't. It's hard. You don't see these actors taking themselves seriously. They try, but just some of the effects were poorly done. Even there's a scene where Annie Wilkes she breaks Paul Sheldon's ankles with a sledgehammer. And it was like that in the Broadway play. Now, in the novel, Wilkes actually cuts off Paul Sheldon's foot and then cauterizes the wound, which I think would have been more of a terrifying scene. I think there's ways you could do that, on the stage. And I think it would put more fear in the audience, where when she was just swinging the sledgehammer and breaking the ankles, it was just, it was really goofy looking. She was swinging it like the sledgehammer just was like a hammer of the gods, and it almost looked, it didn't look right, and it wasn't. I didn't buy in on Paul Sheldon's pain that actor Andrew May was trying to display. And even so the other actor and character is the police officer Buster, and that's played by Nick Steens, and he he did all right. He was a little cheesy. He tried to say these cheesy one-liners, and he'd look at the audience, and it just didn't work. So spoiler, he dies by shotgun, and it was just embarrassing. You hear it's supposed to be a serious moment, I think, but they just were. It was so melodramatic, and the blood was so fake, out of a high school play. It splattered across stage, it just wasn't fearful. And in the whole time you were watching this play, and you build up an anticipation, for this play and for like what's going to happen down the line. Like, wow, when Annie finds the police officer in her house, New Brown, she's going to flip out, and you really think it's going to be a terrifying scene, and it really isn't. Same with when the end scene, when you find out, well, the ending with Sheldon and Wilkes is going to come, and they're gonna fight, and he's going to try to escape. You think, you're building up this anticipation of a terrifying ending scene, and it just doesn't really come. They pretty much wrestle like it's a fake wrestling match, and he hits her with a typewriter, and I mean, obviously he doesn't really hit her, but it was very noticeable. And you see her just like smear blood on her face when she goes out on the floor, and then he chokes her with the paper, and it just kind of ends. And so the whole play, I think, needed to take more risks. Was it entertaining? Yes, at times it was entertaining, but a lot of things didn't work, like the dead silences, the fake, the noticeably fake blood. Some of the dialogue back and forth just didn't work because it seems like they almost were making fun of it. Like they try to the production's there for a thriller. The sound effects, the stage, it looked and sounded creepy. It's just the tone was non-existent, and it was hard to figure out what they wanted to do with it. You just find yourself losing kind of interest, and you just kind of feel you're falling back into some laughter. So again, it wasn't a bad play, but I think it had more potential, and I think if it would have been written more like the novel by Stephen King, I think it could have had more success, and people, including myself, wouldn't be say the tone was lost, and it felt like it was more of like a comedy than a thriller for most of the time.